All right. So, very important battle. After the Treaty of Ghent had already been signed. It hadn't been ratified yet. So there's a couple of things that are important about this. So number one, if the British had won at New Orleans, they might have decided to say, hey, let's talk a little bit more about this treaty, knowing that we hadn't ratified it yet. So the simple fact that we won was a big deal, okay? The second thing, we, the people of the United States, take a lot from this battle, a lot of pride in this victory, okay? Number three, this propels Andrew Jackson to the point where he's going to be president of the United States in the very near future, okay? He had hero status. They talked about comparing him to George Washington, which I don't know how I really feel about that. Militarily, maybe, yes. Politically, no. I don't agree with that comparison. But nevertheless, this propels him to the forefront of the political world in the United States. Now, a little earlier in December 15th, 1814, you have frustrated Federalists meeting at the Hartford Convention. This is a big mistake they make. They are very frustrated. They are very worried. They are losing power. They're losing power. When people lose power, they start doing desperate things. And that's what's happening with the Federalists right here with the Hartford Convention. They proposed 7 amendments to the Constitution of the United States. Each of these amendments was targeting the Republican Party and the South. Okay? That's specifically. So the First Amendment, slaves would no longer be counted in the population. That gave the South an advantage, having the slaves counted. That gave them more power, specifically in the House of Representatives. Second Amendment, it would take a 2/3 supermajority to declare war or admit states. 2/3 supermajority. Again, trying to gain some kind of control back in Congress. Third thing, embargoes could last no more than 60 days. Fourth thing, immigrants could not hold federal office. This is the Federalists trying to eliminate Republican possibilities. Fifth, the president could only serve 1 term. No more 2-term presidents. Remember, there's no term limits at this point. None. Washington could have served 2 or 3 more if he wanted to. Okay, there are no term limits. They say presidents should only serve 1 term. The last one is aimed directly at Virginia. Presidents could not be from the same state in successive terms. Look, we're going to have 4 presidents right off the bat from Virginia. Washington, and then we have Adams from Massachusetts. Then we have Jefferson, Madison, and Monroe, all from Virginia. Again, this is the Federalists taking aim at the South and what's going on. Now, those are not really good amendments by any stretch of the imagination. But the next thing they do, there is some quiet whispering discussions about secession, leaving the Union. That's dangerous stuff. Dangerous stuff. Here are the results. These amendments and the convention itself ignored by Congress, ignored by the president. It essentially ends the Federalist Party. See ya, done. And Madison, because of the victory at New Orleans, because of the Treaty of Ghent, has gone from being a goat, because you can't even protect our own capital of the United States, to being a hero. Okay? So, here are the legacies of the War of 1812. Here are some things you need to think about the importance of the War of 1812. Okay? First off, there's no clear victory. But we, the citizens of the United States, consider that we won. We believe that primarily because of what happened at New Orleans. Okay? We lost 7,000 Americans killed or wounded. There's no resolution with maritime issues we're having with the British, not in there anywhere. Positive, it creates a newfound patriotism in the United States of America. We start to have a national identity at this point. Instead of being from Massachusetts or from Virginia, now I'm an American. I'm from the United States of America. This is new. This is a young country. Remember, this is formed from 13 colonies. Different people, different ideas. But after the War of 1812, we start to form a national identity after this. We gain position, rank with other countries around the world because of us going toe-to-toe with the British again. We become more self-sufficient industrially. We've got cotton mills jumping up all over the place in the north, 100. Okay? Cloth manufacturing, textile industries starting to develop. This all takes place during the War of 1812. After the War of 1812, we're in a better position industrially to compete. Okay? We are growing both agriculturally, commercially. We are becoming an industrial world power. We're not there because we got infrastructure issues we got to deal with. Okay? Which I love talking about. Canals, plank roads, steamboats, railroads. All this different stuff is really neat to talk about, and that'll really propel us forward. Next legacy here is that the war influenced Republicans to look at our country differently. They want a stronger Army and Navy, not something they wanted before. They want a national bank, not something they wanted before. They supported tariffs to protect industries in the United States, not something they wanted before. They started having a looser view of our Constitution. They started to become more loose constructionalists as opposed to strict constructionalists with the Constitution. Okay? And the last legacy of the War of 1812 has to do with the natives. Okay, Native American and their power is nearly snuffed out after the War of 1812. Settlers flood over the top of the Appalachian Mountains into the western part of the United States. The population west of the Appalachian goes from 300,000 to 2 million between the years of 1800 and 1820. 3,000 to 2 million. And like I told you in the introduction to this chapter, by the time we get to 1840, 40% of Americans live west of the Appalachian Mountains. Okay. Big things. Those are things you need to remember about the War of 1812. Yeah, you need to know Plattsburgh. You need to know it was a three-front war. Okay. The specifics of battles, not so much. You need to know why Andrew Jackson was so important and what he did at Horseshoe Bend at New Orleans, how that impacted him and the future of the United States. Those are things that you need to consider. Okay? I haven't put the quiz together. I don't know how many questions are on it for tomorrow. Be prepared. I'm ready to go. Scores last week were outstanding. Let's do that again this week. Any questions? How much time we got left?